everyone, my name is Jyotika Jaiswal and I am a second year CSC with specialization in Cyber Physical System student currently studying in VIT Chennai. My registration number is 19BPS1034 and today I will be implementing as well as will be explaining the first two projects of NAND to Tetris. So first I would like to thank Abdul Qadir sir who has been guiding us amazingly in our course of Computer Architecture and Organization for giving us this wonderful opportunity and introduced us to this project which truly widened our horizons in this interesting field. So thank you, sir. So first we have the introduction of NAND to Tetris. NAND to Tetris, or the Elements of Computing Systems, is a 12-part project system in fundamental computer engineering that steps you through the creation of a computer from the very ground level, starting with NAND logic gates and ending with an operating system capable of running a complicated program like Tetris. Each of the project tackles a next logical step in building a computer called hack and iterates on all of your work up to that point. The objective of NAND to Tetris is to first build a simple computer from the elementary logical gate NAND and then to develop a high-level language called JAK, developing a compiler, an assembly and a software hierarchy. It basically plans and optimizes the chip architecture on a computer workstation using structured modeling formalisms like hardware description language or HDL. Next we have hardware simulator. Since HDL is a hardware construction language, the process of writing and debugging HDL programs is quite similar to software development, but instead of using a compiler to translate and test this code, we use a hardware simulator. The hardware simulator is a computer program that knows how to parse and interpret HDL code, turn it into an executable representation, and test it according to the specifications of a given test script. So basically, all the codes that we will be implementing will be done on hardware simulator. So basically, this is the hardware simulator that we will be using to implement each of our codes. So first we have our project 1. So the project 1 is basically all about the logic gates. In this we implement various basic logic gates like AND, NOT, OR, XOR and other complex gates like multiplexer and demultiplexer and chain those all together to implement their multi-bit counterparts like AND16, OR16 and MUX16, as well as their multi-way counterparts like MUX 4-way 16, MUX 8-way 16, OR 8-way, DMUX 4-way and DMUX 8-way. So first we have the very basic gate, which is the AND gate. The logical AND function states that two or more events must occur together and at the same time for an output action to occur. Conceptually, the AND gate is built from NAND gates through the following diagram. Now we have a diagram here which is basically the NAND representation of the AND gate. So the two inputs are fed into the first NAND gate, as you can see. The output of this particular NAND gate is then fed into a second NAND gate whose inputs are tied together. So basically this second NAND gate functions logically like a NOT gate. So this is the implementation that we will be using for our AND gate, and this is the truth table. So the working of these gates is in such a way that the output terminal will get binary 1 if and only if both the inputs are binary 1. In case if any input has binary 0, then the output will be 0. So now we'll be checking the code for AND. So this is the code that we have for AND. As in the diagram that we saw, it will be implementing using two NAND gates. So here we have chip AND. So basically the function of chip AND is that it is giving the chip a name after we created the chip. The hardware simulator will know that such an AND gate exists, and if other gates call for this AND gate, it will be used in their description. The in which is used here is basically depicting the input, and the input in this gate is A and B. Next we have out, which describes the output, and it is defined by out. Next we have paths, which is basically the implementation of the gate as we discussed before. And we have NAND in our pocket, so we can utilize NAND to create our respective gates, like here we are creating AND gate. And as we know that every gate can be represented in one or the other form of NAND. So we will follow this styling method which we use in HDL to yield our expected output. Now we move on to the hardware simulator, and from here we will load our chip, which was the HDL code we just saw. This is the HDL code for AND. We load the chip, and from here we load the script, which is and.tst. So as you can see, these are the input pins which are defined here, which is A and B, and this is the output pin, and this is the HDL code, as you can see, the code that we just saw, and this is the script. Now we will run it. So the comparison ended successfully. Now we will look at the output, and this is the output that we get. And as we saw in the PPT, that this is the required output that we get from an AND gate. Therefore, our implementation of AND gate using the NAND gates is correct. Next, we move on to the OR gate. So the logical OR function states that an output action will become true if either one or more events are true. Conceptually, the OR gate is built from NAND gates through the following diagram, as you can see here. Two inputs are fed into two NAND gates whose inputs are tied together. Therefore, they basically act as NOT gate. The output of these NAND gates are then fed into a third NAND gate, and the third NAND gate will finally give the output. This is the truth table. So if any one of the input is 1, the answer will be 1. If both of them are 1, the answer will be 1. If both of them are 0, the answer will be 0. So now we will look at the HDL code of OR gate, and this is the OR gate that we have. As we saw in the diagram, we will be using 3 NAND gates over here to represent the OR gate, and this will be implemented in the paths area for us to execute this code. Moving on to the hardware simulator, again we will load the chip from here, or.hdl, and from here we will be loading our script, or.tst. So again, these are the input pins, which is A and B. These are the output pins, which is only out. This is the HDL code which we just saw, and this is the final script that we have. Now we will be running this. Now our comparison ended successfully, and now we check for the output. So again, we are getting the desired output that we saw in the PPT. Next, we will be implementing our next gate, which is the NOT gate. The NOT gate basically performs the logic invert or complementation function. The logic NOT function is so called because the output state that we get from this function is not the same as the input gate. A NOT gate is made by joining the inputs of a NAND gate together. Since a NAND gate is equivalent to an AND gate followed by a NOT gate, joining the inputs of NAND gate leaves only the NOT gate. So this is the representation, and we'll be using only one NAND gate, and this is the truth table. So basically the output that we get will be the opposite from the input that we give to the system, and vice versa. So this is the HDL code that we have here for the NOT gate. Again, as in the diagram that we just saw, we only use one NAND to represent our NOT gate. Now we'll be running it. So we load the chip for not.hdl, and we load the script, and now we will run it. So our comparison ended successfully. These were the input pins, which is only one, which is in, and this was the output pin. Now we will look at our output. Yeah, so we are getting the desired truth table as we saw in our presentation. Next, we will head towards XOR gate. So XOR gate is a digital logic gate that gives a true output when the number of true inputs is odd. Conceptually, the XOR gate is built from NAND gates to the following diagram, as you can see here. So we'll be using 4 NAND gates for the implementation. 2 inputs are fed into the first NAND gate. The output of this NAND gate and the respective first inputs are fed into a second and third NAND gate respectively. These NAND gates give the output, which is finally fed to the last NAND gate, which yields the final output. So this is our diagram, and this is the truth table. So the XOR gate implements an exclusive OR, that is, a true output results if one and only one of the inputs to the gate is true. If both the inputs are false or both are true, a false output results. Now we look at our HDL code, and this is our XOR HDL code. So as we saw in the diagram, we will be using 4 NAND gates over here to implement our XOR gate, and now we load it in the hardware simulator. We loaded the chip, and now we are going to load the script. So again, the inputs that we give here are A and B, and the output that we seek is given by out, which is the output pin over here. Now we run it. And now we will check for our output. Yeah, so this is the desired output. When either of them is 1, that is when we yield a high output, otherwise it's 0. Next we move on to our next gate, which is a multiplexer. So the multiplexer, shortened to MUX, is a combinational logic circuit designed to switch one of the several input lines to a single common output line by the application of a control signal. Conceptually, the MUX is built from NAND gates to the following diagram, as you can see here. So we are basically just taking various lines of inputs and converting them into one single output, as we can see. The chip name that we give here will be MUX. The inputs that we'll be giving will be A, B and cell, which is the selection. The output that we will be getting in the form of out, and here again we will be using the NAND gates to implement our multiplexer. Now we will load the chip, mux.hdl, and load the script. As you can see, the values keep changing according to our given conditions in the input pin, and now we will check for our output. So this is the desired truth table that we will get from a multiplexer. Let's just use the function compare here. Yeah, so as you can see that no changes were made after I clicked compare. Therefore, the truth table that we get here is the desired and the correct one. Therefore, the code that we implemented over here in the HDL part is correct, and our multiplexer runs successfully. Next, we move on to demultiplexer. A data distributor, known more commonly as a DMUX for short, is the exact opposite of the multiplexer. The demultiplexer takes one single input data line and then switches it into any number of individual output lines one at a time. The demultiplexer converts a serial data signal at output to parallel data. Conceptually, the DMUX is built from NAND gates and 2 NOT gates to the following diagram, as you can see here. So the chip name will be DMUX. The inputs and the outputs will be reversed here. Therefore, the inputs that we will be giving will be in and selection, while the output that we will be getting will be A and B, which was just the opposite as in the past logic gates that we just implemented. And rather than using the NOT gates, we will be simply combining it using the NAND gates. Now we will be running in the system. So we load the chip for the DMUX, and we load the script. So as you can see, the input pins are in and selection, and the output pins given over here are A and B. This is the HDL code, which takes 5 NAND gates for the implementation of a DMUX, and this is our script. Now we'll be running it. Again, as you can see, while the code is implementing, where set cell 1 is given, the value of this cell was changed, and basically the values that we give in the input pins varies according to when our code runs. Now we will be looking at the output, and this is the output that we get. Again, to check it, we'll be using the function compare, and since no value has changed, therefore our implementation is successful and there were no errors while running it. So now we move on to the next part, which is multi-bit versions. Multi-bit and multi-bit OR will be the two functions that we will be implementing over here. So first we have the multibit AND. A 16-bit AND gate applies the Boolean operation AND to every one of these 16-bit pairs arrayed in its two 16-bit input buses, as you can see over here in the picture. And a multibit OR, a 16-bit OR gate applies the Boolean operation OR to every one of the 16-bit pairs arrayed in its two 16-bit input buses, as you can see over here. So we first look at the AND 16, and this is a function for our AND 16. So it's nothing different than the AND that we implemented before. Basically, it's just using this AND function over our 16-bit inputs, which we give in two input buses, and we'll be implementing this code. AND16.htl, and we load the script. So even though our input pins and output pins remain the same, which is A, B and the output, it is basically given in a 16-bit format. That's why it is called AND 16, and we'll be using 16 AND gates to implement it. Now we run it. You can see the values kept changing all through the course. Now we look at our output. So this is the output that we get. Basically, this is just the implementation of the AND gate in 16-bit format. Now we compare it. And since our values remain same, therefore our code has implemented successfully. Next, we move on to OR 16, which again is the direct implementation of OR gate, but we use it in the format of 16-bit. Therefore, we'll be using 16 of these gates. And now we use the code. So we have our input pins and our output pins in the format of 16-bit. The values keep changing all through the course of the code running, and the comparison ended successfully, and this is the desired output that we get. Again, we will compare it, and since no values changed, therefore our code has run successfully. Next, we move on to another multi-bit version, which is of a multiplexer. A 16-bit multiplexer is exactly the same as the binary multiplexer described, except that the two inputs are each 16-bit wide, while the selector is single-bit. So this is the chip name that we will be having, which is MUX16, and the inputs and the outputs will vary because it will be of 16-bit. So this is the code that we have for MUX16. Again, we are just implementing the MUX logic operator into 16 different bits so that we get our MUX16, and this is the complete code. Now we'll be running it, MUX16. We load the script. The input pins that we have over here are A16, B16 and selection, and the output that we get will be out16. It's all in the format of 16-bit, while the selector remains of the bits. So our comparison ended successfully, and this is the desired output that we will be getting. The selection, as I said, remains of a single bit, and now we do the comparison, and there are no changes made, therefore our MUX16 has run successfully. Next, we move on to multi-way versions of basic gates. Multi-way OR is our first gate that we will be studying over here, which is an 8-way OR outputs 1 when at least one of the 8-bit inputs is 1 and 0 otherwise. So the chip name that we will be having is OR 8-way. The inputs will be in the format of 8-bit, therefore the input is in 8. The output remains the same, which is out, and the function basically is out is equals to OR, and in brackets we have all the inputs that we mentioned. Therefore, we will be just operating this OR in 8 different versions so that we get the 8-bit answer. We load the chip, and now we load the script. we will check for output, and this is the desired output that we get, and we'll do the comparison, and no changes occurred, therefore our code has run successfully. Next, we move on to another multi-way version, which is of a multi-way multiplexer. So basically in this we have two variants of the multi-way code of a multiplexer. An M-way n-bit multiplexer selects one of the mn bit input buses and outputs it into a single n-bit output bus. So we have, as I said, we have two variants, and this is the variant, this is the diagram here for a 4-way mux. The inputs that we will be giving in a mux 4-way 16 will be A, B, C, D, which will be in 16-bit format, selector which will be in the format of 2-bit, and the output that we will be getting will be in the format of out16. Now we will be checking the code. So this is our mux 4-way 16 code, and we are just using the mux codes typically, and here we have the function that output will be equal to A if the selector will be equal to 0, 0, output will be equal to B if selector is equals to 0, 1, output will be equal to C if selector is 1, 0, and output is equals to D if selector is 1, 1. So that's the basic function of mux 4-way 16. Now we'll be loading the chip, and we load the script. So as you can see, the input pins that we have here are in the format A, B, C, D, all 16-bit, while the selector remains of 2-bit, and the output that we seek will be out 16. Now we run the code. The values of the input pins and the output pins keep changing all through the course, and now it has ended successfully, and this is the output that we'll be getting. Moving on to comparison, again we'll do the comparison just to check if our code is correct, and since we see no changes, therefore the code is correct. Next we move on to the mux 8-way 16. Here we will be taking the inputs in the format of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, which will be in the format of 16-bit, while the selector will be in the format of 3-bit. The output that we will be getting will be in the format of out 16. We look at the code, and this is the code that we have. So just to concise the code, we will be using our already used mux 4-way 16. As I mentioned before, since in the chip name we had mux 4-way 16, therefore, if another function calls it, it will immediately recognize the chip, which is mux 4-way 16, and we'll be using it just to concise the code. And here we have the functionality. Therefore, the output will be equal to 0 if selector is equals to 0, 0, 0, B if selector is equals to 0, 0, 1, etc. We follow this whole procedure, and H if selector is equals to 1, 1, 1. Now we will implement the code. We load the chip mux 8-way 16, and we load the script. So here are the input pins, here are the output pins. This is our HDL code which we just saw, and this is our script. We'll be running it. Yeah, so a comparison ended successfully. This is the desired output that we get, and now we move on to the comparison, and since no changes were made, therefore our implementation was correct. So next that we have here is an M-way n-bit demultiplexer which channels a single n-bit input into one of the m possible n-bit outputs. So we have two variants of the demux, which is demux 4-way 16-bit and demux 8-way 16-bit. This is the figure that we have for a 4-way demux. So the inputs that will be given will be in the format of in and selector. The selector will be of 2-bit, and the output that we will be getting will be A, B, C, D, as we know that this is the right opposite of the input and output we have been giving so far. Now we will be checking the HDL code, and this is the 4-way code that we have. So again, we will be basically implementing the demux that we have already used in a 4-way 16-bit demultiplexer, and this is the functionality that we have. The output will be of the format in 0 0 0 if selector is equals to 0 0, of the format 0 in 0 0 if selector is equals to 0 1, of 0 0 input 0 if the selector is equals to 1 0, and of 0 0 0 input if selector is equals to 1 1. Now we will be running it, and we'll load the chip. We load the script. So yeah, the inputs are of the format in and selector bit 2, and the output pins are A, B, C, D. Now we'll run it. Yeah, so the comparison ended successfully. This is the desired output that we will be getting, and we move on to compare, and since no changes happened, therefore our code has run successfully. Next we have is the second variant, which is demux 8-way, and the inputs will be of the format in and selector bit 3, outputs A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and we'll see the code now. So this is the code that we have here. Again, just to make the code very concise, we'll be using demux 4-way, and the rest of the functions that we'll be using will be of demux, which we have already used so far. And this is the functionality that we have. Again, it will vary just basis on the value of what a selector will be. Now we will run the code. So we load the chip over here, and we load the script. So again, this is our basic HDL code that we just saw. The input pins are in selector bit 3, and these are the output pins that we have. Now we will be running it. As you can see, the values are changing all through the course, and the comparison ended successfully. So this is the basic output that we will be getting, and now we will lead on to compare, and since no changes happened, therefore our code had run successfully. So basically this was the project 1 of NAND to Tetris that we just executed. The objective of this project 1 is basically just to implement all the logic gates presented in the project, and the only building blocks that we can use are primitive NAND gates, as we saw while we implemented the AND gate, the OR gate, the NOT gate, and the XOR gate. We basically only use the NAND gates and the composite gates that you will gradually build on top of them. So this was the objective. Now we will be moving ahead to our project 2. So the centerpiece of the computer's architecture is the CPU, or the central processing unit, and the centerpiece of the CPU is the ALU, or the arithmetic logic unit. In this project, we will gradually build a set of chips culminating in the construction of the ALU chip of the hack computer. All the chips built in this project are standard except for the last code that we will be having, which is the ALU itself, which differs from one computer architecture to another. So first we have our first code, which is basic adders. An adder is a digital circuit that performs addition of numbers. In many computers and other kinds of processors, adders are used in arithmetic logic units, or ALU. They are also used in other parts of the processor, where they are used to calculate addresses, table indices, increment and decrement operators, and similar operations. We now will be presenting our hierarchy of 3 adders leading to a multi-bit adder chip. The first that we have over here is a very simple half adder. So the first step on our way to adding binary numbers is to be able to add 2 bits. Basically, that's because the foundation of the binary is just 2 bits. So let us call the least significant bit of the addition sum, as you can see in the diagram over here, and the most significant bit is called as carry. The functions sum a and b and carry a and b happen to be identical to the standard XOR AB and a comma b. So as you can see over here, we are just implementing 2 gates for our function of half adder, which is one XOR gate and one which is the AND gate. Thus, the implementation of this adder is straightforward using the previously built gates, which is XOR and AND. And as you can also see, there is the truth table that we will be expecting from a half adder. The inputs and the outputs, they vary according to this function. So we will be looking at the code that we have over here. So here we have the half adder code. So we'll be implementing it using one XOR gate and one AND gate. Now we will be running it. We load the chip. So we will be loading the project 2 first. Yeah, so this is a project 2, and here we have the half adder. Also we'll load the script of half adder.txt. So as you can see over here, the input pins are of the format AB, while the output pins are of the format sum and carry. Here is the HDL code that we just saw, and here is the script that we'll be running. So now we run it. And now we'll check for our output. Yeah. So this remains same as the truth table that we just saw in our presentation. Therefore, our half adder has run successfully. Next we have is a full adder. Yeah. So basically it is designed to add 3 bits, as in the half adder we were adding 2 bits. Here we'll be having 3 bits. Like the half adder case, the full adder chip produces 2 outputs, the least significant bit of the addition and the carry bit, as you can see in the diagram over here. So a full adder chip can be implemented using 2 ways. One from using 2 half adder chips that we already used, and one additional simple gate. While the other direct implementation is also possible using one XOR gate, as you can see over here, 3 AND gates and 1 OR gate. So we'll be using this implementation in our project. Next we have is the truth table, the inputs and outputs, and they vary according to this truth table. So we'll check our code, and this is the code that we have here for a full adder. So as I said, we'll be using XOR gate, AND gate and OR gate. So now we will be running it. Full adder. So these are our input pins. As it adds 3 bits, therefore the input pins are varying from A, B, C, and the output pins are sum and carry. This is the HDL code that we just saw, and this is our script. So our comparison ended successfully, and this is the output that we get. Again, it matches the presentation truth table that we just saw. Just for comparison, we click on compare, and it still remains the same. Therefore, our full adder has implemented successfully. Next we have is add 16. So basically, the memory and register chips represent integer numbers by n bit patterns, n being 16, 32, 64 and so forth. As you can see in the diagram over here, we have 4-bit, 8-bit and 16-bit, and so it goes on. The chip whose job is to add such numbers is called a multi-bit adder, or simply an adder. Our add 16 is basically designed to add 2 16-bit numbers, and add 16 is implemented using 16 full adders. So you can see the chip name will be add 16. Inputs are of the format A, P of 16-bit inputs, and the output is out 16. Now we'll look at our code. Yeah. So as I said that we'll be implementing it using 16 full adder logical operation, which we already created in the last experiment, and our inputs are of the format AB of 16-bit, and output is of format out, which is again of 16-bit. Now we'll be running it. Now we'll look at our output, which is this. Just for the comparison, we compare, and since no changes are made, therefore our answer is correct. Next we have in the presentation increment 16. So it is convenient to have a special purpose chip dedicated to adding the constant 1 to a given number. Here is a specification of a 16-bit incrementer. So this is the diagram that we have over here, and it is implemented using 16 half adders. Like we use 16 full adders for the implementation of add16, here we will be using 16 half adders as it is shown in the code over here. So now we run it, we load the chip of incrementer 16 and the script. Now we'll run it. So our input pins are in 16 and output pin is out 16. Both are 16-bit input and output. This is the HDL code that we just saw, and our script has already compared successfully. Now we will see the output, and this is the output that we get after running in increment 16. So for the comparison, since again no changes are made, therefore our code has executed successfully. Next we move on to the presentation, and the final code which is left is ALU. So the definition of ALU is basically an arithmetic logic unit, which is a combinational digital electronic circuit that performs both arithmetic as well as bitwise operations on integer binary numbers. This section describes an ALU that will later become the centerpiece of a specific computer platform called HACK, as we studied before. It is implemented using a set of basic logic gates as well as their multi-bit and multi-way variations that we have already seen in the previous project. So this is the basic diagram that we have for an ALU, and this is the chip that we have. So the chip name that will be given will be ALU. The inputs are of the format XY, which are both 16-bit. It will vary according to the format of XZ, NX, XY and so on, and the outputs that we will be getting will be of the format out16, which is another 16-bit output, XR and NG. Now we'll look at the code. So this is our final code that we'll be executing over here, and as you can see, this is the code that we have, and we implement it using all the basic logic gates that we have already implemented so far. Again, as I told you before, the chip name already registers this specific logic gate. As we are using mux16 over here, we already created mux16 over here, and now it will just be calling this mux16, and so is for the rest of the cases. And we also use the multi-way such as OR 8-way and the multi-bit such as AND16, mux16 and so on. We also have the functionality over here, like if zx is equals to 1, set x is equals to 0. If nx is equals to 1, set x is equals to not equal to x, and so on. Like these are all the functionalities that we have for an ALU. Now we'll be running this code. So we load the chip of ALU.hdl and we load the script. So this is our input pins. As I already mentioned before, X and Y are of the format 16-bit, while all other are the normal input pins. And the output that we will be getting will be of the format this, wherein the output will be of the format 16-bit. This is the HDL code which we implemented using the basic logic gates, their multi-bit and multi-way variations that we already programmed, and this is our script. So now we'll be running it. As you can see, the values keep varying all through the course of the running of this program. As you can see that it is basically computing all the values that we have over here, ranging from x minus x, y minus y, x minus y, x plus y, and all the functions that we are having over here. Now the comparison has ended successfully, and now we load the output. So the output is actually very long, and this is the type of output that we'll be getting from it. And now we'll compare it. So we made the comparison and there were no changes made in the output that we got. Therefore, our code has ended successfully. So basically, these were all the codes that we implemented in our project 2. So the objective of project 2 was to implement all the chips present in this project, and the only building blocks that we can use were the chips that we already gradually built and the chips described in the previous project. So the best example of this is the code of ALU, since we used all the logical gates, their multi-bit and multi-way variations that we had already built in the project 1. So this was the objective of our project 2. And now we have ended the implementation as well as the explanation of both of the projects. This is the abstract. In the nutshell, Nano2 Tetris is typical structural computer engineering that steps you through the creation of a computer from the very basic ground level, from basic root level to higher fundamental levels. So these were the 2 basic projects that I successfully executed in this project. Thank you so much.